Hi there, my name is Kaitlyn Goslinga, Senior Assistant Director of Financial Aid at University of the Pacific. Thanks for joining me for today's demo and walkthrough of the Federal Parent Plus Loan application for the 2025-26 school year. To start, you'll want to head to the website StudentAid.gov. This should look very familiar to you because it is the same place that you complete a FAFSA. So a few things before we get started. This loan specifically is for parents. So parents, you are the one who is logging in with your FSA ID and password. So it is a parent that does need to log in. If the student logs in for this application, it gets all turned around and it's not able to be processed. So you'd start by logging in, but for today's demo, I'm going to show you how to head to the Loans and Grants tab up here, and then you'll see on the left-hand sidebar, Get a Loan. And underneath, you'll select the Plus Loan, where it says Grad Plus and Parent Plus. All right, and you'll see here you can select the borrower type. So specifically, this is the Direct Plus Loan application for parents. And so you'd click the Learn More box, and then scroll down a bit. There'll be some disclaimers here to explain that a credit check is required for the Plus Loan application. And that also, you do need to complete a Plus Loan Master Promissory Note, also on the same website, before you can receive a Plus Loan officially. And so here, if you haven't logged in yet, you'll be prompted to do so. For today, we are going to utilize this demo application. All right, so before you begin, you are required to verify that you are the parent and logged in to your own account. And that additionally, you haven't placed a freeze on your credit report. If your credit is frozen, you do need to unfreeze it with the credit bureaus in order to move forward with this application. All right, so here we will want to go through and select an award year. This is the year that you are applying for the loan. So for example, the upcoming award year would be the 2025-26 school year. And then you can either select your student or enter student information below. So you'll need your student social security number and potentially date of birth for this section. So you'll need to indicate who your student is if this section is already not pre-populated. All right, the next part of the application is indicating the school in which you plan on sending this application to. So you can, for example, search by state and by school name. So here you could type in, for example, California, and then University of the Pacific, and you will see the school add to the right-hand side. So you want to make sure you get that school added for this Plus Loan application. And then you are presented with the reason you are submitting the application. Is this a new application for the year, or are you making a change? You can make changes to the Plus Loan application. We, of course, recommend reaching out if you've got some questions about that process at any point down the road. But for those of you watching, a brand new first-time borrower, you would select New for the Plus Loan app, and then hit Continue. And then here you are presented with the options to indicate how much you wish to borrow for the academic year. So there's a few options here. You can select that you want to borrow the maximum Plus Loan for which you're eligible for, as determined by the school. So in this case, what we here at Pacific would do is we would review the student's cost of attendance, their other financial aid resources, and then the remaining amount left would be the maximum that we would process the Plus Loan for. If you know that you want to borrow a specific amount, you can do so in the second option, where you type in specifically how much you wish to borrow. So let's say you know you would like to borrow $10,000 for the year, but maybe your plus loan maximum is $25,000. Here is where you can specify that you only wish to borrow $10,000. Please do keep in mind with this plus loan application, there are loan fees associated with the plus loan. Currently, they're a bit over 4%. We would recommend using the linked calculator here to determine exactly how much you need to borrow. For example, if your student's remaining bill is in fact exactly $10,000, but there's that 4% loan fee, a smaller amount of the loan is actually going to disperse to your student's account. So definitely keep that in mind. If you need those loan fees covered as well, you might need to borrow a little bit more than the specific amount. The last option here is I do not know the amount I want to borrow. I would not recommend selecting this option simply because schools are likely going to follow up with you to ask how much you'd like to borrow. So if you can do that calculation in advance or determine how much you want to borrow before completing this application, that is certainly going to speed things along. All right, the next section of the app here is the loan period. So this is asking you how long you'd like to borrow the loan for, or for essentially what period of time. Please keep in mind you can only do a plus loan 1 year at a time. Oftentimes families will think they can do one application and they will put a start date and an end date for a 4-year time span, but that's actually not something you're able to do. So, for example, this loan period you could select for the 2025-26 school year, and then you'd put the start date for the year. So that would be, let's say, August of 2025, and then the end date would be May of 2026, and that would bring us through the entire 2025-26 school year. Ideally, we recommend completing your application for the entire year. You can submit a new application semester by semester, but we typically do advise against that if possible, especially because maybe things with your credit can change mid-year, and then maybe you suddenly find that you are denied for the loan for the second semester. So ideally, 1 academic year would be great. Here are the sections where you can indicate your preferences for the loan. So you are able to request deferment. That is simply a pause of payments for 1, while your student is enrolled at least half time. And 2, you can add on an additional 6-month grace period when your student stops taking classes or if they graduate, for example. So you can indicate here, yes, I would like to defer repayment while my student's enrolled. And then additionally, yes, I would also like that 6-month grace period. This even is the case if your student moves on to graduate or professional school. If you do not elect deferment, your loan will come due fairly soon after the loan pays to your student account. Please do keep in mind that you can always make payments on the plus loan toward that loan, even if you are in that official deferment status. All right, this next section talks about usage of the plus loan. So you can elect to have the plus loan pay for other educationally related charges. So for example, that includes, tuition and fees, room and board. Those are essentially the first things that loan is used for. But if there are other expenses that come up, like library fines, parking tickets, or lab fees, right, which are really common for students, especially taking lab courses, you can indicate that the loan can be utilized for those costs. And then you may be in a scenario where you have additional loan funds after that loan has been utilized for tuition, fees, and room and board. So if there are extra funds, like for books and supplies, for miscellaneous personal expenses, or transportation, you can indicate if you would like those excess funds sent to you as the parent, or if you want to facilitate a smoother process of those funds being sent to your student, you can elect to have those excess funds be issued directly to your student instead. All right, the next section will ask to indicate your relationship to the student. Are you the biological parent? Are you the legal adoptive parent of the dependent student? Or are you the spouse of the biological or legal adoptive parent? So for example, a step parent in this case. If you do select other, right? If you are related to the student in any other capacity, you would not be eligible for the PLUS loan. As a parent, you need to indicate your citizenship status. Parents who are either U.S. citizens or nationals or a permanent resident or other eligible non-citizen are able to borrow the PLUS loan. If your citizenship status is not either of those, then you would not be eligible for this application. You'll verify your address here, your mailing address, your contact information, your employer's information. Then you'll hit continue. And then here's where the credit check authorization happens. So again, a quick notice that if you've got a security or a credit freeze, you do need to lift that before continuing. You can see all of the disclaimers here to read and acknowledge, and then certifying that all the information here is true, you've read and understood the application, and you are indicating you authorize for the Department of Education to check your credit history to determine your eligibility. So you'll hit continue there and move on. And then you'll verify that all of this information here is correct. A summary of your answers. You can edit any before moving on. And then here you will be notified immediately of your credit decision. So here you'll see either it was accepted, declined, or pending. So if the loan is accepted, there's another step to do. That would be the Master Promissory Note. I'll show you that in just a moment. But briefly, if your loan is denied, you have a few options. You can appeal the decision with direct loans. You can move forward with an endorser. So if you have someone who's willing to co-sign the loan, you can move forward there. Or if neither of those two are an option for you, the third and final option is to elect an increase for your student's unsubsidized loan. So we can increase that by $4,000 to $5,000. So here you'll need to indicate which of those you choose to move forward with, either the appeal, the endorser, or if you specify, I don't want to move forward with either of those, then that will allow us to process the increase. If you select the option, I'm not sure which I'm going to pursue, then you would need to follow up with us if especially you want to move forward with the unsubsidized loan increase for your student. So a couple things there just to keep in mind. But if you are approved, you may want to take the time to move forward immediately with the PLUS Loan Master Promissory Note. So we're going to go back to the StudentAid.gov website here. Under Loans and Grants, we're going to navigate to Master Promissory Note. And here you are able to complete the promissory note as a parent of an undergraduate student. So I won't go through all of this, but it's as simple as reviewing the information, providing references, reading through the agreements, and acknowledging that you understand you've got to pay this loan back when your student is finished with school. So that is the Master Promissory Note. Additionally, here as well, under this Loans and Grants tab, if you have been denied for the PLUS loan, there is the Endorse a PLUS loan option, the Appeal a credit decision option. If you appeal or move forward with the endorser, you do also need to complete, on top of the Master Promissory Note, the PLUS loan credit counseling, which again is found here under the Loans and Grants tab. Thank you so much for tuning in to this 2025-26 Federal Parent Plus Loan demo. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our office, 209-946-2421, or at financialaid@pacific.edu. Thanks.